Program activated.
Attention everyone, the unpleasant noise you are about to hear coming from your radio is not a mistake.
Okay, first things first, what is your name?
This is Big Sonny playing the best of the 90s and beyond.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah. Radio in motion.
Please do not turn off your radio, but turn up the volume on your receiver as high as it can go.
All right, here we go.
Radio in motion.
Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock, It Takes Two. Before that, Paper Doll by PM Dawn, one of my favorites there. Thank you for joining me tonight on Radio Motion, tonight's 90s Nights. Right now, we're going to have another installment of The Ugly Truth. And the truth can be ugly, folks, and it can even hurt sometimes, but it will set you free. And tonight, I suppose there's a lighter thing at the end I want to talk about. There's this robot that's going to be patrolling the subways in New York City, which I think is hilarious. But I suppose I wanted to touch on what's leading to all this with, why aren't there just normal police down there? And what's all this defunding the police and what did they do wrong? I'll be honest, it goes back to, in 2020, especially in America, in Minneapolis. There were riots all around the country. And, during lockdown, the thing that brought people out wasn't lifting of lockdown. It was riots, because that's what you want. You want a good riot during a pandemic. But I suppose I want to say, the truth does matter. And by all means, don't just listen to me. Go out and find these facts for yourself, because I do believe an individual is smart. But a group of people, packs of people, and they can be just wild, panicky animals. That's the problem. So as an individual, I think we can be smart. And, don't be woke when you can be awake, I say. So let's be awake to the truth. And going back to those riots, I'm sure you've heard this name floated around, has become an icon in the wrong way. That's why I say you need to really choose your heroes right, if that's the narrative that you want to draw from, to embrace any idea that you want to move forward, and that's George Floyd. So the death of George Floyd was huge. That was what sort of sparked the riots in America, and we never really found out about George Floyd except, well, he must be good because cop's bad. Good, cop bad. So that's the end of the story. It doesn't matter. And he's African American, so already automatically during that time with those tensions, he was automatically good. And I think that's sad. I think people of any race and creed and gender, there's only two types of people. There's decent people and indecent people. You're either on the track to being helpful and being of service and purposeful and part of society, or you're not. Simple as that. And that can be any color and creed on earth. You're either trying to live on this earth and help your fellow man, or you're not. As simple as that. So never assume something because mainstream media feeds it to you. So, specifically with that, the death of George Floyd, it was all about the boot on the neck. That was a big thing. And that the cops killed him through asphyxiation. Well, would you be surprised to realize that that's not what caused his death? Nothing to do with asphyxiation. Who did die? 24 people died during the riots. Billions of dollars of damage. People lost their businesses. They lost their livelihoods. Still feeling the effects. All of America, I'll be honest, is still feeling the effects of the riots. And people who are saying, a good riot is an American God-given gift. I always say freedom of speech, absolutely. But I don't think going out and rioting and burning down the village that you live in is of any help. So the famous boot to the neck. And from that, there was the whole defund the police movement. Who needs police? They're evil. Let's just let everyone run wild. Again, we're not quite there yet, folks. We live in a society where there are bad people. Is that shocking? I do believe, I have a positive attitude that you can change people's minds. There is a way through it. But sometimes it might take 50 years. Sometimes someone not make their way through it till it's too late. And the fact is people do bad things if given the chance. So the narrative at that time, and probably still is now, unless, again, you want to dig for the facts, is that George Floyd was a healthy young man. Oh, okay. In what way would healthy be when he actually had pre-existing heart conditions, coronary artery disease? Pretty much one of his arteries was actually 75% blocked. So these pre-existing conditions aren't helping. I won't go into the fact that he's a woman beater and a thief and a drug abuser, drug peddler, and because of that, had methamphetamines and 11 milligrams of fentanyl in his system at the time, not to mention more than likely having COVID. So that is not a healthy young man. This is a person that, if he were sitting at home doing these drugs with that much fentanyl and methamphetamines in his system with these pre-existing comorbidities and conditions, and this a heart coronary 75% blocked artery, I'd say he shouldn't even be out walking. I think he should go to the doctor. So again, I'm not gonna talk about what led to how he led his life. That is a different story. We all make choices in life and how we get there. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. Sometimes it's fate, sometimes it's by our own hand. I'm just talking about specifically, it was all about cop bad, criminal good. And he became the hero. George Floyd is still murals on the side of buildings as a hero. I don't think he was a hero. And I'm not saying every cop everywhere is perfect. I think there's good and bad in anything that can be systemic, but I don't think anyone who joins the police force is looking to kill people. If they are, well, let's weed those out. Let's weed those sociopaths out. But in this situation, I think it was cops doing their job from someone who was resisting arrest and being combative. And I'll say that because there's another part of the history that, again, mainstream media don't tell you about this. He already had similar arrests in the past, pretty much a carbon copy of the same situation in 2019. High on drugs, more than likely consuming the drugs, putting in his mouth to hide them. Now they're in your stomach, now they're in your system, and the cops ask, on tape, they always ask this on camera, are you on drugs right now? Are you high? I'm going to give this tip. If you're high, you probably won't notice, so this tip won't help you if there's someone who's a drug user. But if you find yourself high and the cops ask you, are you on drugs? You should tell them, because the situation you're going to get in, that stressful situation, is more likely going to make your situation worse, and your blood's going to start pumping, and frankly, they're trying to say you need to go to the hospital. We'll deal with your crimes later. But when you don't tell them this is what happens. So the infamous chokehold. So now we're finding out that, all the police, they're taught this tactical move. If you hate the police just based on nothing, I can't help you. I can't change your mind. If you're just anti-police just because, I hate the police for no reason, I just hate them. All right, I can't help you. I'm just telling you that we live in a world that needs police. There are bad people out there. Do you want your son and daughter protected? Do you want to be protected? Do you want your family protected? You're going to do it? You're going to go out and do it? You're going to be a Batman, be a vigilante? Or should the cops do it? Because that's their job. That's what you pay for. So there's a certain move, and it's this MRT move, and it's a maximum restraint technique. It's to give, essentially, maximum restraint with the least amount of harming the person. Again, you can't be that naive not to think that cops and military or anyone that's their job is to restrain people as safe as you can when someone is trying to be combative and trying to kill you, essentially. They're taught these techniques. Of course, they're taught these defensive techniques. And one of them is this MRT, maximize restraint technique. And that is part of that I'm sorry if it looks bad on camera, that is about either putting a knee on someone, putting a knee on them to keep them down, to keep them restrained, especially if they're fighting. They're looking to take your weapon. They're looking to kill you. This is about self-defense at this point. So that move that they did on him, which again had nothing to do in any way to lead to his ultimate demise. And by the way, I think it's terrible in any situation when someone dies of any color or gender or age. That's horrible. That is a horrible situation. There's no perfect way out of this. There's only trying to find the balance out of this. The solution is having a conversation about this. The solution is only about, there's only compromise, really. And that's what you have to do. You have to have that conversation and decide where the balance is. And in this case, that move was a standard move that cops use. And the sad part? The chief of police at that time, in court, said he had never seen that move before, and that wasn't taught. Every single police officer, to the contrary, has said they're specifically taught that move. So, again, I don't want to be that guy that says it's all political, but it was. At this time, it all came down to the politics. It was an election year, and they wanted to use this. Again, not to get too deep into the politics of it, but those who are in power right now in the White House, they're happy to take any opportunity as a good one. Any opportunity is the perfect opportunity. That's a fact. I'm not saying they invented it, but once you find out about it, you roll with it. You get on it and you roll with it, and you build that narrative, and boom, you use it. You get all those young people to rise up and say, "Oh my, it's the extremist conservative right. It's all them. It's the police. Down with the police. We need to get these people in the White House and elected." So again, never let a good riot go to waste, and they didn't. So again, you hate hearing about this. You don't believe it. You still want to get behind someone who wasn't a hero, and I don't think should stand for anything, and certainly shouldn't stand for defunding the police, especially hardworking men and women on a police force who are out there trying to help. If you want to just take the one bad seed, you want to take them as the example and say it's all of them, well, that's fine. We can say that in every situation, in every capacity of every job on earth, in every way, shape, or form. There's either people trying to be useful or there's people who aren't. Let's try to focus on the ones trying to be useful. So I'd rather focus on building up a better police force. So again, this is all leading up to, what caused a lot of this for defunding the police. Well, now there's so many, there's so much crime in the USA. It makes me sad. There's people just brazenly attacking FedEx trucks now, a full semi-truck trailer. They have this whole coordinated effort to block it with cars and then just pull goods out of the back. So now they're eliminating even having to go to the store itself, which, by the way, most stores in the U.S. are all locked up with cages. So when you go to buy a product, you've got to get through the cage. But now, the heck with that. We'll get the middleman. We'll get the poor truck driver who's just taking the goods from point A to point B. We'll rob him. When are the companies going to get on board that this is just not how you do it? That there are people out there that need to be taught a lesson. So again, it's learned behavior. It's like, again, when you're teaching your kid, and there's sort of those modern parents that don't want to discipline the kid. Oh, he's got to grow. He's got to be him. Got to be all that he is. Kids are wild, crazy animals. They're just crazy monkeys looking to get in trouble, and that's a fact. And if they want to live in society, they need to be taught the rules. And some of those rules are to protect themselves. Like I've said this before, a kid going to run across the street. He's just being cheeky. Let him be him. Okay, gets hit by a car. I think the better move would have been to say no. Get them to actually understand that the parents are in charge to protect their lives and to give them life lessons. No, stop. Kid stops, car goes by. Maybe the kid learned a lesson. I shouldn't do that because I might get killed. Well, those kids grow up to be these kind of criminals that go and stop a FedEx truck and steal all the goods. That cracks me up, by the way. When you're stealing it directly from the truck, you don't even know what's in the packages. You might get ice skates, and you might live in the desert. I'm just saying, at least in the store when you're stealing, you know what you're getting. So look, that's where we're at. America's just on fire with crime. And so here's the solution. So here's the funny part I'm leading to. The solution seems to be robots. So there's this new K5 robot that they have in New York City. And it pretty much, it looks like Baymax from Big Hero 6, the big inflatable white robot that just looks completely docile and innocent. That's what the thing looks like a bloated R2-D2. K5 robot is going to patrol the subways because, believe it or not, violent crime is up over 50% in New York City in the subways. Well, there's no cops down there. So this K5 robot is going to keep you safe. Well, they were interviewing people down there, and nobody feels safer. seeing this inflated sort of R2D2 rolling around in white and blue, the NYPD colors, armed with a camera and a panic button. Yay, a panic button. Help, 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 help. That's great. That's going to instill me with total confidence that I'm going to be safe in a New York City subway with Baymax and a panic button. Help, 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 and a camera, so that someone from far away back in the office is going, hey, they're screwed. Yeah, I'll report that. And they'll get a real cop down there. Why don't you just put a real cop there to begin with? Okay? All this is a glorified camera. There's already cameras down there. So you want to have less police, you want to add robots, fine. We'll check ourselves out at the store. It'll all just be self-serve. It'll be robot land. And I say, if you're going to go robot, let's be honest, go RoboCop, okay? Go full RoboCop. I don't care. Get some guy who was wounded in the line of duty, and he's about to die, and then get him to sign the waiver, and turn him into a cyborg. If we're going to do it, let's go all the way. Why mess around? Get Baymax out, K5, and get RoboCop in. All right, I'm sure there's a cop. Maybe get his arm blown off, his legs blown off. I know that's horrific, but turn him into RoboCop, and let's get him out there. I trust him more. Maybe Ed 209 from RoboCop. At least that robot was armed with 2 huge Gatling guns on each side. Look, it had the tendency to kill people at will, and it was afraid of stairs. But these are just ticks. These you can iron these out. That's not a problem. I'd rather have Ed 209 down there than K5 Baymax. Anyway, so that's the ugly truth for tonight. Like I say, don't believe me. Check it out for yourself. Research it for yourself. Don't just sit back and take the roller coaster ride of mainstream media, because mainstream media is entertainment, folks. It has been for 30 years, for longer. It's just entertainment and ratings, folks. They're there to get the scoop and make you tune in, and that's a fact. So if you want news, get it somewhere else. All right. Thanks for joining me tonight on Radio Motion, tonight's 90s Nights. More great music coming up next after a word from our sponsors.